You know that feeling? You've got these big goals, things you really want to achieve.
Mm-hmm. Like changing careers, or maybe connecting better with family.
Exactly. Or just feeling more, productive and in control, but actually getting there. Sometimes it feels a bit foggy, right?
And like you're trying hard, but something's missing. Is that gap between where you are and where you want to be.
Totally. And you sense the answer isn't just more effort, but maybe a different way of operating altogether.
It's a common feeling. We have the intentions, but the day-to-day stuff,
Hmm.
it can feel a bit off track.
Well, that's why for this deep dive, we're going back to a real classic in personal effectiveness. Stephen R. Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Foundational text.
Definitely. We're working from a kind of compact look at it, pulling out the core ideas, the really essential stuff.
And our goal here really is to unpack these habits together.
Yeah.
Not just list them, but get into the why behind them.
Right. How can you actually use these principles to, well, take charge and build a more effective life and way of working?
And the material we looked at starts with this really crucial idea, this distinction it makes.
Yeah, the difference between just learning tricks and techniques, that what it calls the personality ethic.
Right, like how to make a good impression quickly.
Exactly. That might work short term, but it doesn't really build deep trust or lasting success.
No. And the source contrasts that with what it calls the character ethic. This is about building your effectiveness on fundamental principles. Things like fairness, integrity, honesty.
Things that don't really change. It's about who you are at your core, not just what you do on the surface.
Precisely. The idea is that if your habits align with these solid principles, success kind of flows naturally from that.
The analogy they use is pretty good, actually. Imagine you're lost in a new city.
Sure.
You could ask people for directions to one specific place. That helps right now, sure. But you're stuck if you need to go somewhere else. That's the personality ethic. Lots of little tips.
Right, dependent on external help for each step.
But if you get a proper map, one that shows the underlying layout, the geography, then you can figure out how to get anywhere.
So the map is like the character ethic, based on unchanging principles.
Exactly. It empowers you because you understand the fundamentals. You're grounded.
That makes sense. It's about having an internal compass based on principles, rather than just collecting external directions.
Okay, so let's get into the habits themselves. These are the practical ways to live out that character ethic. Habit number 1, be proactive.
Yeah, this one's huge. It's basically saying, look, stuff happens to us, things we can't control, but we always control how we respond to it.
It's that shift from feeling like, life just happens to you, to realizing you're actually in the driver's seat of your reactions.
And the source points out this amazing human ability we have, that little space between something happening, the stimulus, and how we react.
Unlike animals who just react instinctively.
Exactly. We can pause, we can think, we can choose a response based on our values, not just, our mood or the situation.
The example used is so powerful, Viktor Frankl in a concentration camp.
Oh, yeah. Talk about an extreme situation.
Right. Total lack of external freedom. But Frankl realized they couldn't control his inner response, his attitude, his thoughts. He still had that choice.
And finding freedom in that choice, even under those horrific conditions.
Yeah.
That's the essence of being proactive. It's profound.
So for you listening, this isn't just theory. It's about what happens when, say, your boss criticizes your work or a project gets delayed.
What's your first instinct? Blame, complain, get defensive.
The proactive approach is to pause, recognize you can choose how to react, and then put your energy where it counts into your circle of influence.
Meaning,
Focusing on the things you actually can do something about rather than wasting energy on things you can't control. It's about directing your energy effectively.
okay, that makes sense. So once you realize you can choose your direction, habit 2 comes in. Begin with the end in mind.
Yeah. So where do you want to go? This habit is about having a clear destination for, well, everything you do. Big projects, small tasks, even your life overall.
It asks you to start with the desired outcome clearly pictured.
The source has this really striking exercise. It asks you to imagine your own funeral.
Whoa, okay.
That's pretty intense.
It is, but powerful.
What do you want people, your family, friends, colleagues, to genuinely say about you, about the life you lived?
It really cuts through the day-to-day clutter, doesn't it? Forces you to think about your deepest values and priorities.
Exactly. It's about defining what success truly means to you.
And this habit is built on the idea of mental creation first, then physical creation.
Meaning you need to think it through, plan it out before you actually do it. Like, You wouldn't build a house without a blueprint, right?
The blueprint is the mental creation.
Yeah.
The building is the physical one. You need the first to guide the second.
So applying this to your life, the source suggests things like crafting a personal mission statement.
Like a personal constitution.
Kind of, yeah. Based on your core values, your vision for yourself, what contribution you want to make, it acts as your guide.
So you make decisions based on that deeper purpose, not just what feels urgent right now.
Exactly. It keeps you oriented towards your true north.
Okay, so you're proactive, habit 1. You know where you're going, habit 2. But how do you manage the journey day to day? That seems to be habit 3, but first things first.
Right. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's about organizing and actually doing things based on your priorities, not just reacting to whatever shouts loudest.
This is where that famous time management matrix comes in, isn't it?
Yeah, the 4 quadrants. Quadrant 4 is urgent and important crises, deadlines. Quadrant 3 is urgent but not important interruptions, some meetings maybe. Quadrant 4 is, well, not urgent and not important time wasters.
And quadrant 2, that's the key one, right?
Yeah.
Important but not urgent.
Exactly. This is where the really effective stuff happens. Planning, relationship building, preventing problems before they start, personal development.
But it's tricky because those things don't feel urgent. They don't demand immediate attention like a ringing phone or an impending deadline.
That's the core insight. Q1 crises scream at you. Q3 interruptions feel like you're busy. Q4 distractions are easy escapes.
But Q2 requires discipline. It requires being proactive, habit 1, and knowing your end goal, habit 2, to consciously choose to spend time there.
And the payoff, according to the source, is huge. Focusing on Q2 prevention, planning, building capacity actually reduces the amount of time you end up spending in Q1 putting out fires.
So you become less reactive over time. It also mentioned delegation here, didn't it?
Yeah, but not just handing off tasks. It's about empowering others, trusting them with responsibility for achieving specific results, not micromanaging the method. Focus on the what, not the how.
Okay, that makes sense. It frees you up to focus on those higher leverage Q2 activities.
Right. So those first 3 habits are really about self-mastery, moving from dependence to independence. The next 3 focus on interdependence, working effectively with others.
Starting with habit 4, think win-win.
This is a big shift in perspective for many people. It's about seeking outcomes where everyone involved feels good about the result, where everyone benefits.
It's moving away from seeing every interaction as a competition, right?
Yeah.
The source contrasts it with the win-lose mindset.
Yeah, like in a sports game, for one team to win, the other has to lose. That's win-lose. But most of life isn't like that.
Or shouldn't be. The example they used about the sales team was telling.
Oh, right. If you set up a bonus system where only the single top salesperson gets rewarded,
Then everyone else loses. It breeds resentment. People might hide information, maybe even sabotage each other. The overall team performance could actually drop. That's classic win-lose, even if unintentional.
But if you structure it differently, maybe rewarding everyone who hits their individual target and giving a bonus for the whole team reaching a collective goal.
Then everyone's encouraged to cooperate, share tips, help each other succeed. That's win-win. More sales overall, happier team.
And the foundation for this, the source says, is having an abundance mentality.
Believing there's enough success, recognition, joy, whatever it is, enough to go around for everybody.
Instead of a scarcity mentality where you think someone else's success somehow diminishes yours, if they get a slice of the pie, there's less for me.
Right. Win-win needs that belief that the pie can actually grow if we work together. It's realizing that your biggest victories often come when you help others achieve theirs too.
Okay, so if we're aiming for win-win, communication becomes critical. Which leads us neatly into habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
This one is so fundamental for relationships, both personal and professional, but so often overlooked.
We tend to do the opposite, don't we? We're so eager to get our point across, to be understood, to offer our solution.
Before we've really truly listened to the other person, the source uses that brilliant optometrist analogy.
Oh yeah, that was good. You go in saying you can't see properly.
And the optometrist just whips off their own glasses and says, "Here, try these. They work perfectly for me."
It sounds ridiculous. You'd never trust that optometrist. But we do that in conversation all the time, prescribe our solutions based on our own experience before diagnosing the other person's actual issue or perspective.
The key skill here is what the source calls empathetic listening.
Which is more than just hearing the words, right?
Way more. It's listening with the intent to really grasp the other person's frame of reference, how they think and how they feel. It's trying to see the world through their eyes for a moment.
That takes genuine effort and focus. It's not just waiting for them to stop talking so you can jump in.
Exactly. Techniques like reflecting back what you hear. So it sounds like you're feeling. Or, let me see if I understand you're saying that. Can help.
But the technique only works if the intent is sincere, right? You actually have to want to understand.
Absolutely. It
Mm.
takes time, patience, and genuine interest. But the payoff is huge. When people feel truly heard and understood,
Their defensiveness goes down, trust goes up.
and they become way more open to actually hearing your perspective. It builds connection and makes real problem solving possible.
So understanding others deeply opens the door for habit 6. Synergize.
Yeah, synergy. This is where the magic happens, where 1 + 1 = 3 or 10 or 100.
It's that creative cooperation where the outcome is far greater than what any individual could achieve alone. The source compares it to a rainforest ecosystem.
How so?
Well, you have all these diverse plants, animals, microorganisms interacting, and together they create this incredibly rich, fertile environment that's way beyond the sum of its individual parts. That's synergy.
I see. So it's about valuing differences and combining diverse strengths.
Exactly. When people with different perspectives and skills work together respectfully, they can compensate for each other's weaknesses and amplify each other's strengths.
You need that win-win attitude, habit 4, and the skills of empathetic listening, habit 5, to make this happen, though, don't you?
Absolutely. You need to genuinely believe that others might have valuable insights you don't, and you need to be able to truly listen to understand those different viewpoints.
The classroom example makes sense, too. When students feel safe to share ideas, challenge each other respectfully, the whole class learns more deeply than if they were all just studying alone.
It's about creating an environment where differences aren't just tolerated, they're valued as a source of creativity.
The historical example mentioned, David Lilienthal with the Atomic Energy Commission, bringing together all those brilliant, often opposing minds.
And getting them to trust each other through open, patient discussion, that required habits 4 and 5 in spades. But the result was synergy, groundbreaking creative work.
So it's not just teamwork, it's like creative collaboration squared.
Pretty much. Which brings us to the final habit, the one that makes all the others sustainable. Habit 7, sharpen the saw.
Right, the renewal habit. You can't keep sawing effectively if your saw gets dull.
The source uses that simple parable. The woodcutter working frantically, getting less and less done because he insists he's too busy sawing to take time out to sharpen the saw.
And in this context, we are the saw. This habit is about regularly investing in ourselves to maintain and enhance our own capacity.
Across 4 key areas, the source identifies. First, the physical dimension.
Taking care of your body, exercise, good nutrition, enough sleep. Building physical stamina.
Second, the spiritual dimension. This isn't necessarily religious, but about connecting to your core values, your purpose.
Could be through meditation, prayer, spending time in nature, art, music, whatever recharges your inner self and clarifies your values.
Third, the mental dimension. Keeping your mind active and growing.
Reading, learning new things, writing, planning, problem solving. Basically exercising your brain.
And fourth, the social-emotional dimension. This is about nurturing our relationships with others.
Investing time and energy in key relationships. Practicing empathy, habit 5. Seeking mutual benefit, habit 4. Contributing to others. It builds emotional security.
And the crucial point is that these dimensions are all interconnected. Neglecting one weakens the others.
Yeah, if you're physically exhausted, it's hard to be patient and empathetic with others or mentally sharp.
So consistent, balanced renewal across all 4 areas isn't a luxury. It's essential for long-term effectiveness in everything else. It powers all the other habits.
Okay, so stepping back from the individual habits, the big picture from this source material seems really clear.
Yeah, it's that lasting success isn't about quick fixes or just changing behaviors on the surface.
It comes from building these deep-seated habits that are aligned with unchanging principles like character ethic we talked about at the start.
It's that whole journey, being proactive,
Beginning with the end in mind,
putting first things first,
thinking win-win,
seeking first to understand, then to be understood,
synergizing.
and underpinning it all, consistently sharpening the saw.
And the advice isn't just know the habits, it's about actively working on them, right? That upward spiral idea.
Exactly. Learn, commit, do. Practice a habit, reflect on it, maybe stumble a bit, recommit, do it again, but maybe a little better this time. It's continuous growth.
Recognizing your progress is important too to keep motivation up.
Definitely. So thinking about that spiral, and maybe for you listening too, Which of these habits feels like the biggest challenge right now?
Or maybe looking at sharpen the saw, those four dimensions: physical, spiritual, mental, social, emotional.
Hmm.
Is there one that, deep down you've been neglecting lately?
That might be the most powerful place to start, perhaps. Just picking one thing to focus on improving this week.
Yeah, because understanding these ideas is one thing.
But actually living them, integrating them into your daily life, that's where the real transformation happens.
Yeah.
What's the one insight from all this that really sticks with you?